Please take a seat. We are beginning. Here we go. Here we go. Take a seat.
Okay, does this thing work? You can hear me? My name is Trissa. I'm from Questhaven. Dennis introduced me to his lovely home and his temple here. 3 of my grandmothers were students of a mystic named Flower A. Newhouse. I'm sure a lot of you know of her. And I grew up with her as a child. She was pretty much like a grandmother to me. And I had a lot of lovely experiences with her. And the teachings that I got from her were probably more simple, being that I was a child. But I did learn a lot of techniques to help me with my fears. I had nightmares when I was a child. And I learned how to breathe through it. I'm also definitely scared of crowds. Dennis is getting me out of my comfort zone. So one of my grandmothers, she continued on to be a minister, and my other grandma studied dance. She was a dance professor, and I got to travel with her around Southeast Asia, and we filmed the dances of the tribes, which was very interesting. And what I've come to gather from a lot of the studies that I have is that all movement is sacred and all life is sacred. Our bodies are sacred, they're our temples, and of course our job is to take care of them and to move through life in a sacred manner. I'm going to be shaking, but I did a world prayer the other day and I was just shaking the whole time, but that's part of it. Even the shaking is the sacredness. And I ask that you just feel your feet and help ground the energy. Feel your seats and your chairs too, but feel the relaxation flowing through your feet. There's a lot of spiritual energy here flowing from the heavens, flowing through our crown chakras. And just like a flower, those beautiful petals are opening to the sun, to the light. The light is pouring down through the center of your being, because the center of your being is the light. There's a sacred chamber that, of course, we all know is the heart. But deeper within the heart is the sacred temple of God, and your flame is burning there. It's burning with the oils of the masters, with the Spirit. And our job is to breathe, to live, to tend to that flame. It's the breath that keeps it burning, fans the flames, and that energy pours through your body and through all of your cells, all the atoms of your being. Just breathe a moment. Don't try to change your breath. Just feel how it is now, how it wishes to be. And just breathe. But feel your heartbeat. We often forget that our heart is beating, that we're breathing. And then the sacred door is between the heart and the breath. And that's your drum beat. And I'd like you to put your hand on your chest and just first find your heartbeat. But just tap there to remind yourself that you're human, you're in body. We're connected with the heaven world. And through our crown chakras, through into our heart, the spirit of the heavens is flowing. And our job is to stop being afraid and stop limiting your expression. Well, I'm not really going to teach you movement other than you are the movement. You are the breath. And when you breathe, when you move, you're breathing. Your heart is beating. The sacred is within you. The fire is burning. Now you can stand or sit with the movements. I'll do some movements with my hands and you're welcome to follow. But you have to return to the breath again and again. And remember that everything is sacred. Every movement is sacred. So at church we do, during the holidays, Christmas and Easter, we have performances, and usually I'm an angel, which is wonderful. Part of it, not just the movement of our bodies, is the movement of our spirit and being connected with the divine and having it flow through here in this physical world. And so one of the most basic spiritual poses is our heart right here. It's the temple. It's the flower. And it rises up to the sun. It reaches to God. It reaches to the saints, to the masters, to the angels. And it opens. And it lets the light pour into our auras, which need strengthening. Just move your hands very slow. Feel the tips of your fingers. You're inside your own aura. And just pull the energy down. You can turn your hands down and let it slowly go down into the earth. You're still breathing. And I forgot that too, is the seriousness of it all needs to be broken up a little bit with some laughter and some lightheartedness. You know, the world is a serious place, but we need to bring in some more lightheartedness to our lives and the people around us as well. So let's not forget that. So just breathe in with the movement and breathe out. Just try to go real slow. Breathing in. Receiving. Breathing out. Giving. Receiving. You can lengthen your breath with the movement. And if you can touch the ground at all, if you're welcome to touch the ground, or your feet, or your legs, or your knees, and just let the energy go down your legs. We carry a lot of energy that we have to let go of. And so if you just tap your feet, you can tap your hands too. Shake your arms. Shake your shoulders. Try to get all your body going. Loosen your hips and your knees. We can do a little hula. Ask for some divine rain and some divine blessings. And just go back to your heart and just feel yourself standing in your truth, in who you are, in your authenticity. I want you to feel more completely your heart and your breath. Let your breath fill your heart. There's some spaces there that need some light. Your heart's like a rose. It has its own scent, its own fragrance. And inside that rose are shimmering dewdrops. And the light of heaven is shining and sparkling in all those dewdrops. Don't be afraid of your thirst for the divine. You should feel it. You should feel how thirsty your heart is for the divine, for the dewdrops to absorb and nourish you. And feel them go down through the stem of your being, down through your legs, rooting down into the Mother Earth. Let's do a few ohms together. Let's do one ohm all together, and then we'll do one ohm just the women, one ohm just the men, and then we'll do it all together again. And now just the women. And now just the men. And now all together. One more, just the women. now just the men. Now all together. So if you would like to, I have an idea that if you would just face one other person, I'll do an example with someone if they want. But you'll follow me, okay. And we'll just move your hands like I'm a mirror to you. And really, you can do anything. And now you lead me.
I thought I was. Whoops. Yes.
So if you would just try with one another, pick one leader.
Lisa.
And just, they're your mirror.
Oh, okay.
I would love to. We're all mirrors of each other. Sometimes we're not always attuned with one another. Am I leading or are you following?
I don't know. I'm just following you, I think. Mirrors.
Yeah.
Reflex.
Looks like it's working. You might all try rubbing your hands together. And if you want to put your hands up into your higher chakra and receive the energy of your masters who have here healing energy for you. And now it's up to you to smoothly place it through the outer edges of your aura. You just slowly bring it down through. You're strengthening your rainbow bubble, your golden light, your violet flame. Just move your hands through your own aura. You'll find that maybe there might be some little bit rougher patches. That's a good place to bring extra light into. Like some shiny eggs, shiny bubbles, and just keep your aura protected and bright. And if you rub your hands together, you'll be able to feel it a little bit more. Most of us have some heavier energy down in the lower chakras, so you might want to send some energy through and just soothe it. Just let it go down into the earth. Mother Earth will take care of any heavier atoms. And we ask that all of our atoms of our being, of our body, of our etheric body, of our astral body, of our mental body, of our higher mental body, of our soul, of our spirit, our oneness with God is all illumined and turns its face up to the center of the source, the center of the sun, the light. Let all the atoms be lifted and smiling. And again, just rub your hands and get your fires burning, your flame going. And just see that pushed out through your aura. It's not just for you, it's for everyone. But we do need to keep our bodies aligned. Feel for a moment your legs again. Feel that you're grounding the energy. Feel your toes. Feel the bottoms of your feet, the sides of your feet, your heels, your calves, your knees, your thighs, your hips, your torso, your heart, your hands. Let the energy, the relaxation flow through your neck, through your shoulders, through your jaw, through your ears, through your eyes, your head, your hair. And just tune yourself for a moment to your masters and angels, to your highest and most intimate teacher, which is in fact the breath. Feel again that your heart is beating. And then just become aware that surrounding your body is your etheric body, your energy body, your vital body. All those atoms are spinning. Hopefully they're dancing. So we don't have to move around the room to get them dancing. And see that your etheric body is very bright and very illuminated. It has its own fire, but it doesn't burn. It's vitality. Remember that heaven is pouring her graces through your chakras, through your crown chakras. It's pouring and filling your vital body. And it's pouring and filling your astral body, your emotions. Your emotions are to be soothed by peace. Peace is pouring through you. Your emotions are soothed by peace. And your thoughts are soothed too. They're nourished by this light. They're reminded to think well. It's pouring through your higher mind. And your higher mind is guiding and teaching your mind, your thoughts. Your soul already knows everything that you need to know. Your soul is assisting this higher energy come into the world for this golden age. Your souls already know how to do it. You just have to let it flow. Keep all your bodies clean. Don't forget the place where you're connected to God. your breath and heart meet. And let the channels of your feet and your hands, let the energy flow through. Remember the still place. Even in all the movement, there's stillness. And in all the stillness, there's movement. We have our own little galaxy to take care of, and it's in our bodies. Nourish it with the sun, with the water, the rain, with the stars, and with each other. Don't forget to look for that light inside each other. I'm going to just take one still moment here. And you might shake it out a little bit. Tap your feet. And then come back to the heart center. And help ground the energy. We're one big body, one human race. We're all brothers and sisters. There's no need for fear, there's no need for pain. You don't need it. You don't need your troubles. Your angels and your masters are all around. They're always there. They never leave. They never forget you. You're the only ones who forget them. They never forget you. Their energy, their vitality, all the virtues and all the graces of heaven are just there waiting for you to drink. The dew in your heart, illumined by the sun. Share its fragrance. Go in peace. Amen.
Hey, Steve, are you there?
Hi, Boyd. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we're ready for you. Are you able to use a camera?
I think so.
Yep,
How's that? Can you see me?
we do. So, you're on, buddy.
Okay, thanks, Boyd. And good afternoon, everybody. And a beautiful vista, I'm sure. San Diego is always beautiful. And, of course, the heartstreams are always excellent. Following on, I'm going to provide an opening here for our council presentation. My name is Steve Miller. I'm the council president. And following my opening remarks, our beloved Robert and Kathleen Beasy will be sharing our council treasure map with all of you. And then lastly, we'll look at slides for events for next year, 2019. So first, I'd like to share a few remarks about our plans for next year, as well as some other observations. It's always difficult to follow on beloved Saint Germain's marvelous messages. So one of the things a couple of things he mentioned were especially Mary University, and also we heard today from the 7 Chohans of the Rays. As you may or may not know, we've been asked recently to produce a book about the 7 Chohans of the Rays, and that is one of our main objectives for next year in our publishing team. We've also had recently some small booklets completed. That's a long-term goal of ours, is to produce some short introductory booklets about the Ascended Master teachings in the Heart Center. The first of those books is called What is the Heart Center? The Mission and Vision of a New Spiritual Community. The second is Who are the Ascended Masters? What is the Universal or Great White Brotherhood? Third, we have the power of positive spoken and sung prayers, decrees, affirmations, and chants. Fourth, we have what are heart streams, dictations, discourses, and darshans, and what is heart streaming. And last, we have what is the ascension, the mystery of enlightenment and self-realization solved. And we are still looking at a sixth small booklet whose title hasn't been determined yet, but looking forward to getting them in everyone's hands soon, and as well as working on the Chohan of the Rays book for 2019. On the Mayer University side, I can tell you that we've had many, many discussions, and it's very dear to Claire's heart to reconstitute our Mayer University team in the next upcoming year. We will have 2 Mayer University courses next year so far that are planned, both being taught by David. The first one is called The Music and Vision of Immaculata with Mother Mary, which will be held in August. And the second class is called Becoming a Child Again, Spiritual Keys for Simplicity, Purity, and Harmony with Maida in November. So we're very much looking forward to those classes, and really, our directors have done just an amazing job laying the foundation and doing all the hard work behind the scenes to get Mayer University in place and ready to take classes online. Our beloved Claire and Boyd and Charles and team have been working assiduously on that. And we've already begun selling some courses online, so we look forward to really accelerating that and promoting that, and really doing a lot more strategic thinking about Mayer University, as St. Germain alluded to. So we have a lot to look forward to going forward, and I hope those of you who find your desire to contribute to this plan and the work of the Heart Center and Mayer University will think about joining us with your efforts, and I'm sure Claire would be very, very happy to hear from you. So we're very much looking forward to accelerating Mayer University next year, as well as putting forth the books that I just mentioned. I'd like to mention one other thing regarding our general technology initiatives, and I'd like to thank, on behalf of the council, all of our directors, especially Boyd and Charles and Richard Lorenz, for all the work they do on the behind-the-scenes technology that goes into what the Heart Center produces and provides on a daily basis. We have many, many servers as our heart streams continue to accumulate. We have a lot of technology needs to get this out on the website and to make these classes available and events. And our beloved Boyd and Charles are very diligently working on keeping our technology up to date. It's very important that we maintain newest versions of our servers and supporting equipment, because if you don't, that leaves you vulnerable to, unfortunately, in today's world, things like malware and hacking attacks. So one of the things that was very surprising to us in our face-to-face meeting this summer was hearing from the directors and how much effort goes into just doing this, just maintaining our current environment. And it's something that's been, we just haven't been able to get to as much as we would like to in the past couple of years. And that's something that we're making great progress on. And I'd like to, on behalf of the council, thank Boyd and Charles and Richard for their work in that area. And I'd like to add one other thing before I turn it over to Kathleen and Robert. This summer, in case you haven't heard, this summer an additional dispensation was provided for David's messengership. And I'd like to tag along to Alice's comments at the end of St. Germain's dictation. And on behalf of the council and our whole community, I'd like to thank our beloved brother for all he does. I know it's he said, David mentioned he sits there and just receives them, but I can tell you that, sometimes it's difficult to relay messages sometimes in that position, and he does it very eloquently, and we're very, very grateful on behalf of the council for this additional dispensation for extra years for David's messengership. So with that, I'd like to thank all of you also who contribute resources, your time, your donations. It's a tremendous blessing to us to be able to continue this work forward, and you are all part of that work. As was mentioned earlier, it's a blending, like I believe Jeffrey Lewis mentioned, like a Persian rug, a blending of so many different aspects and elements, and each one of you is important to that effort, and on behalf of the council, we thank all of you for that. And with that, I'd like to turn the floor over to Robert and Kathleen to share the Heart Center treasure map for next year.
Hi. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Kathleen.
All right, so we're going to switch over to the PowerPoint slideshow. And Rob, would you like to give a little description of what this is about?
Okay, this is, well, St. Germain was talking about visualizing the violet flame for the entire planet, and I was visualizing along with him every continent. Of course, I studied geography when I was younger, and so this world of violet flame, and this is a vision. This is getting down to the details of how it's all going to happen, how we're going to be a part of the whole process, and we're going to make our contribution. And so it's the subject came up of maybe we should have a treasure map. It came up last summer. And so then information was solicited from a whole variety of different people, and a lot of people contributed to this, and it was all assimilated, mostly by Kathleen, because she has the technical skills to put it all into a PowerPoint. So that's how it got here.
Well, thank you. And it's an ever-growing project, so if you all think of other ideas, especially with our Alchemy with St. Germain today, please let us know and we can continue on with this. So this is the Heart Center treasure map, and so for 2019 and beyond. So next page. So actually, when we first did this, there were lots of ideas, which were verbal ideas, translated into words and text, and I had gotten all together and categorized, and then David said, well, treasure maps are pictures, aren't they? I said, oh, okay. So back to the drawing board. So top on our list was personnel, more staff doing more things and helping us all out. So these are just some pictures I found on the internet of some things I thought were interesting, and some other people also donated some of these pictures. So I think it was Charles that gave us the one, the guy says, find the right people.
No, I thought that was Boyd. Anyway, it was one of the two.
Yeah,
anyway, I was going to say that you might recognize something in here that you actually contributed as your suggestion, if you were part of this process.
And the fellow who's leaning back in his chair with that little sign that says, I am happy. So that's the kind of people that we attract, and we're very happy to have. And you see some of them are technical people, and some of them are administrative kind of people, and some of them are just joyous people. So
That happy guy in the middle looks like John Fanuzzi.
So, and you notice there are some young people in these pictures. You notice that, eh? Okay. So these, yes, okay. And then after personnel, people are the first one, and then all of our community building that we're doing locally, international, and central. So that middle picture is the heart-mind connection. So we have a heart-mind connection with each other and all across the world, hands across the world, and we're travelers. So the gal with the fancy hat and the camera, traveling around the world and bringing the light and spreading the light. And then you see the families, so our joyful, happy young families that we are bringing forth into our Heart Center, and the sweet young meditators. All right, so after people and community, then next we have our practices and our places. So looking forward to expanding the places that we go and the places that we have, working with the masters, and maybe manifesting some of these etheric retreats into the physical. So we'll see where that leads. So
Just an idea of a permanent facility, our new chapel. Looks like there's the entryway to it, and yeah, beautiful. And
a labyrinth outside and
yeah,
handwritten
there's
circles.
Boy, I didn't see that before. What the marble walkway, or where did you find that? Anyway, that's one of the etheric retreats manifesting in the physical plane.
Okay. And then after this, next we have
Oh yeah. Now, Saint Germain also mentioned along. I'm going to paraphrase. That along the lines of all the various spiritual groups, we're all working toward the same goals, and that there should be unity, and we should all be pulling on the oars together, and put away all of our little subtle differences. And so here's some of the spiritual groups that are around and about. You're familiar with some of those, and we put
and
them.
our picture is hiding Alma. We have Alma, or the hugging saint. Pray for each other. Pray for each other. We know that we're all doing the Master's work, shoulder to shoulder, rowing together, and more of that will happen as we pray for each other and keep each other in our hearts. So I think that's really important to do. And the one that has Omran's picture, called Wellspring of Life, Esoteric Christian Publishing. This is our friend Aaron Rose from Mount Shasta, who has just taken over the USA distributorship of all the Prosveta books. So it's very exciting, that this is now happening in Mount Shasta. So that is the name of that. And of course, we have the Healing Light Retreat and Quest Haven, and our roots with the Summit Lighthouse and the St. Germain Foundation, all these wonderful Ascended Master activities. We keep them in our prayers.
And you might say something about the Misericordia Maria TV.
Oh, yes, that is a very interesting spiritual group from Brazil. We call them the Brazilian nuns, and they came to Mount Shasta to have a beautiful Christmas service 2 years ago. And these are monks and nuns, and they receive transmissions from Mary and Jesus and Joseph. And we went to speak to them, and we said, well, do you know that St. Joseph also was St. Germain? Oh, yes, we know that. You do? Well, so, and it's lovely. They're lovely, and their singing is angelic. So, and they have videos out with them singing on Mount Shasta, these beautiful chants, and it's just so lovely. So.
And Mother Mary sent them to 3 different places in the United States where she wanted to anchor the light. And one was Mount Shasta, one was someplace out in Oklahoma, and somewhere else down in Florida.
It's very interesting. Yeah, why those places?
Why those places? Who knows? But it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's there's some beautiful other groups, and then the Friends of Tibetan Monks. That's the Tibetan culture, all our roots. Okay, so after this, we pray for each other, pray for our spiritual groups, and abundance. Abundance. So the culture is our own internal culture, the culture of the Heart Center, and then the culture of the Divine Mother as we express it, and it moves out into the world. So our Growing Fortunas Fund that we have, our Fortuna Reserve, and we have an Expo Outreach Fund that's growing. And Maria created this beautiful image in the middle, energizing a network of promotion strategies. So how to promote what we're doing, and part of Mayru University, and our letting the people of the world know what we're doing as we're creating this beautiful space here. So idea, plan, action. That's our beloved St. Germain. El Moria, both of them. Okay. And so then after Culture and Abundance, we have another picture, and that is our outreach and events. So we're after this presentation, we'll talk about our upcoming events for this next year. And all these events are outreach in some way. I think these prayer vigils are outreach, of our heart. And then some other events will be more outreach for people. As you see, we have a great vision of many people coming to our events. And the expo, I think one of them is the one with St. Germain, that's a particular expo picture. And we have some events that are happening around the world. For example, Bulgaria. Can you all point to Bulgaria with the circle? And then Richard Zemak also asked, he says, well, have some more USA conferences. So we said, okay, so there's the Golden Gate Bridge and St. Louis, and so we'll just have events around the world and also around America. So fun places to go. And and there's the young girl with her suitcase, ready to travel the world. That's right, with the masters. We are. Okay. And next. And are you all seeing more places we could go and things we can do? And even if it's traveling in our finer bodies, I guess, going to these places. So in order to fuel these things, we of course need equipment and projects. And so these are lots of things we're thinking about doing. And one of our heart friends particularly asked for a video, how to set up an expo video. So I put that in there. So lots of different videos we can make, and tractors for the snow, those of us who live in the snow.
All kinds of equipment is required, and that's David on his tractor clearing the snow so he can get to the morning service.
And lots of equipment.
Don't visualize it too hard.
That's right. Okay. So after equipment and projects, we have, I think, maybe one more. Oh, yes. Our wonderful publishing, translations and publications. And our beloved heart friends around the world have asked for our publications. And I think, Claire, what master? There was a particular master who named all these languages he'd like to see us in. Who was that? One of the masters said. One of the masters said, he said, we want them in Spanish and French and Dutch and German and Hindi and Italian and Japanese and Mandarin.
Marco says Afra.
Afra, okay. It was Afra, okay. All right, that's right, and he said start with his book. That's right. No.
My book.
What about audiobooks? You ever thought about doing that?
Audiobooks, I think that would be great. I would love to have audiobooks too, yeah, as we drive in our car. So, think of any more projects we should be doing?
Well, as we visualize these things and put the energy into it, we'll bring it into manifestation. I found that in my own personal experience. You know, if I start putting my attention on it, and especially, you know, get a little, you know, emotionally revved up and pour a little thought and feeling into it, all of a sudden it happens. It just happens.
Okay, and we did meet some wonderful Chinese friends this summer. They came to our temple and did a meditation with us, and they love to have Saint Germain's books in Chinese. So just might happen.
They told us that Saint Germain is well known in China. Yeah, and in fact, it's Michael George's pictures. Doesn't he sell more of them back?
He sells more in Asia.
More in Asia than he does in the U.S.
Yeah. So.
And you know, we see all these tourists coming from Japan and China coming through, you know, by the busload to Mount Shasta.
And Soul
you know,
Connections to buy those books.
And they all stop at Soul Connections and you know, buy those pictures and books and so forth. So, like Saint Germain's got his ways of getting around.
More than a household word, the Ascended Masters are worldwide.
That's what Lunello said would happen.
Alice?
One other thing I think would be really good. We have audio discourses.
Oh, would you like to say
Yeah.
it? Okay, come on up.
This is important.
Okay.
Do this, and we should be able to do this. Okay, so we have all our discourses, and of course our dictations as well, but all of our discourses are also in audio. They're already logged in our system somewhere. We should turn them into podcasts.
Yes.
Or even break them up into smaller bites, because especially the younger generation, the 30-somethings and so forth, they love podcasts. They listen to them all the time. So, and we've already got the audio.
So, the more delivery, more platforms we have for delivery, the more people will find them. Marketing says every door you have, someone will come in it. So.
Any volunteers? Yeah, any volunteers, of course.
Thank you. All right, Claire, time for our. What would you like next? Oh, events, okay. You want to show the event slides?
Well, actually,
Steve will do that, okay, then we'll.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
So, Steve, I've got you back up, and I have the slides for the events if you want to run through them, and I can show the slides that have the themes on. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to have to bring those up quickly here, Boyd. So Claire, would you be able to read those events off? I don't have the PowerPoint slides.
To Steve. Yes, yes. So we have our heart sharing with beloved Donna and Barbara. So the next upcoming class is December 27th. And that is a wonderful opportunity for people who desire to have a heart center experience by telephone. And they have a whole mailing list, and they send out invitations, and probably all of you receive that invitation, so you're welcome to attend that. So now we're moving into 2019, and our very first event is going to be the LA Conscious Life Expo. We've attended this for numerous years now, and it's been extremely successful. So that will be in February, 22nd to the 24th. And speaking of the age of Aquarius and Aquarian light, love light, speaking of community building, and speaking of expanding the light across the world, we have our 2019 Conference and International Congress and Pilgrimage coming up in Mexico in March of 2019. And at the end of the slides about all the events, I'd like to give you a little more in-depth information about this one coming up in March. We'll go through the website that we have put up for it and have a little bit more information about that. So that's in March. It's fairly soon. Then we have the next expo, which is something that we participate in on a yearly basis, and that is in San Mateo, California, at the end of April 26th to 28th. And we just have an amazing expo team. the light and the love that comes from the hearts of our heart friends who support these by attending them and supporting David there. I think I've heard, I haven't been myself, but that the light is so great coming from our booth that it just becomes a magnet for the people at the expo. So they're really amazing. So that one will be in California as well. Then this year we're doing something a little bit different with our summer conference. Many times we have it in Livingston, of course. And this year, we are going to be having it in Mount Shasta and Ashland, Oregon. So we'll be there in June, from June 20th to 23rd with Saint Germain, and the 7 archangels will speak on twin flames and Aquarian love. So this Aquarian age is it's really coming in everywhere, right? So that's going to be wonderful to be there in June. In August, we have one of our Mayre University courses that Steve just mentioned, taught by our beloved David with Mother Mary, the music and vision of Immaculata with Mother Mary. So that's going to be very interesting. The music and vision of Immaculata. So we can expect to have a different kind of experience with that class, which will have music. Right. Okay, next workshop will be in September 2019. The expo itself is in Falls Church, Virginia, and we were there this year, thanks to beloved Gloria Rojas and our heart friends there in the Baltimore area. And they will be facilitating that again, and David will be present. And then after that, there's going to be a wonderful gathering in Ocean City, New Jersey, with workshops at the Heart Casa, which belongs to a heart friend there in New Jersey. It's more than a bookshop, I think, and she has a wonderful network of people. So there will be a lovely event in New Jersey for all the people on the East Coast. They'll have a chance to be with David, the Masters, and heart friends there. Then we have a prayer vigil with the 7 archangels in September in Livingston, Montana. And I don't know a lot about this event. Is it going to be a broadcast event primarily? And people will be coming to that as well. So it'll be lovely to be in Livingston in September, as we're usually there in the summer. And that council is actually going to be getting together at around that time rather than in the summer. So that'll be a little change for us as well this coming year. So we look forward to that. Then we have our second Mayre University course in November, Becoming a Child Again. Spiritual keys in simplicity, purity, and harmony with Meta. And of course, David will be teaching that class, so we look forward to that one. Then, in December, sound familiar? We're back here at the beautiful Temple of Clarity, and it is going to be a winter solstice celebration in Ascended Master Love and Light. And the title of the conference is Meet the Karmic Board. And beloved council members, you may not know this yet, so get ready for a surprise. Each council member is going to give a talk on each of the karmic board members.
On one of. Each one does one.
Each one does one. I'm sorry. Each council member gives a presentation on a single karmic board member. So that way the entire Heart Center community will really learn more about the karmic board in heaven, who all the members are. We, of course, have them in our prayers, but really talk about who these masters are and what they do in their role on the karmic board. So that's going to be very interesting, and we'll all be together again in a year, right here. Okay. Steve, do you have other remarks?
No, thank you, Claire. You said it wonderfully.
Okay. Any final words you'd like to share before we go into Mexico?
I think just thank you everyone for being there in Dennis's beautiful home, and I hope this has really been a wonderful experience for you, and we look forward to the rest of the conference and coming up to 2019, all the great plans that we have laid out. So thank you everyone for being there, and I'll turn it back to you, Claire, and for the next part of the program.
Thank you so much, Steve. So Boyd, now I'm going to ask you to please bring up the website for our Conference, International Congress, and Pilgrimage in Mexico in March of 2019. So here we are focusing on the Aquarian Age again with beloved Saint Germain and many other masters who will be coming. The title of the conference and International Congress is How to Co-Create Aquarius Now. We heard a little bit about that today, and there will be some expanding on that in terms of spiritual families, community, and you. So the dates are March 16th through the 22nd. So it's 6 days, 7 days, 3 days of Congress, 3 days of conference first. And that will be a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 16th, 17th, and 18th. And if you could scroll down a little bit, Boyd, the first city we will be in is called Cholula, Mexico. It's about an hour and a half southeast of Mexico City. So we'll be flying into Mexico City, and then we'll have a bus for everyone. We will be going to Cholula, and our beautiful heart friends in Mexico, Betty Salazar and Nicasio and Mariela Salazar, who's actually in Costa Rica, they've done a lot of the groundwork for this. And they picked this beautiful town of Cholula because it has both colonial and pre-colonial history. The pre-colonial that goes way back, and then it's a lovely colonial town. So if you just go down a little bit farther, Boyd, we'll see a picture of the town. So it's in a mountainous area, and we're going to be visiting some sites there, but of course we'll be having our conference, and we'll be hearing from Saint Germain and Portia on Welcome to Mexico, the Heart of North America. Then we'll be hearing from Lord Zadkiel and Holy Amethyst on Blazing Violet, Light Joy Everywhere. Mother Mary and Raphael will be sharing with us on loving kindness as the key to resolve conflict. Jesus and Magda will give a darshan on safeguarding families through faith, hope, and charity. The Divine Director will come and talk about the victory of Aquarius fulfilled now in you. And beloved Sanat Kumar and Lady Master Venus will be talking about the power of love to co-create a beautiful new earth. So that will be happening in Cholula, and we'll have some afternoon outings every afternoon. And one of the places we're going to be going is the sanctuary of Archangel Michael's miracle. There was a miracle in a town about half an hour from Cholula. We'll be taking the bus there. Archangel Michael appeared there, and you have to come to find out the rest. So our conference in Cholula is going to be very special because we're expecting a lot of heart friends from Mexico to attend it as well. So it'll be a wonderful chance to mingle with our Mexican heart friends. Their group there is growing astronomically. They are on fire. They are so active. They're doing all kinds of courses. They have group meetings. They have book studies. They're translating books. They get together every week. They broadcast. I mean, they're doing all kinds of things. So that will be, the 3 days with them will be wonderful. It's a long weekend for them. So a lot of them will be coming from Mexico City. And after those 3 days, we're going to travel down all the way to the south of Mexico to Oaxaca. How many of you have heard of Oaxaca? It's very famous for a lot of things. Beautiful scenery, wonderful cuisine. That's where all the moles come from, if you like moles. And there's a lot of ancient culture there. Beautiful people. So it's about a 5 to 6 hour bus ride. So we'll be going down south on the bus, and Boyd, if you can scroll down, you can show us that pyramid. That is Mitla. So we'll be doing some afternoon outings to some of the pyramids from the ancient cultures in that area, which are absolutely fascinating. In the mornings, we'll be having our International Congress, and that is inviting our heart friends from around the world to come together to plan for all our groups internationally and in the U.S., and what are we going to be doing together? So it's really a lovely sharing time for all of our groups. They bring plans, they bring thoughts, we have discussions. It's really a working session, and at the same time, the masters also come with many more messages and inspiration and assignments, you know, and all kinds of stuff. So it's really, really fun. So we would like to see all of you there, okay? I'm going to tell you just a little bit now about the cost. We don't have the registration up yet because it's a little bit complicated, but in the coming days that will be up, and we'll of course translate this page into Spanish for our Mexican heart friends. But just to give you a sense of what it would cost. Turn my pages here. All right, the estimated per person cost for attending the 7-day conference, International Congress, and pilgrimage for people from the USA, Canada, and Europe, in addition to your airfare. Okay, so your airfare is not included in this. It's between $790 and $900 for everything. That includes everything: food, hotel, and transportation. The hotels that we've chosen are lovely. They're modest and affordable. And we're having vegetarian meals prepared for us. So we'll be having all our meals together in the hotels. So that will be really lovely. So, pardon me?
Some of the attractions have entry fees that's included to it, right?
Pardon me?
Some of the attractions.
Yes, well, you know, visiting the pyramids and places like that, it's not expensive at all, so that's also included. So really, all you have to pay in addition to that is your airfare. Now, as I told you before, we'll be flying into Mexico City, but we're traveling down south, so we'll be exiting by airplane from Oaxaca. Okay, so we have to get one of those multi-destination airfares, and some of us already have our airfares, and in a few days we'll have the registration up, but the instructions about what what route to take are already there. So if you want to start planning and looking at prices, you can do that right now.
And that includes registration?
That includes registration fee.
That includes housing?
Yes.
Food?
Yes.
Registration, transportation?
Yes.
For 7 days?
Yes. It's a steal, guys.
Oh.
Yeah, it may end up being a tiny bit more than that, but we built all those prices in, and it's going to be very close to that, you know. And so, yeah, as I said, I mean, the hotels, they're 3-star hotels. The hotel down in Oaxaca is actually a spa, and they have massages and treatments and things that you can do there, so that's going to be fun, and the weather is going to be fabulous. So, it's about like here now. Let me just flip again. Sorry. So in Cholula, the first city, the average temperatures in March are highs in the mid-70s and lows in the mid-40s. And then farther south in Oaxaca, the highs are in the mid-80s and the lows are in the mid-50s. So picture March, picture snow, picture winter, and you could be in sunny Mexico. So that's just a little taste, and it's, just to give you some food for thought and some inspiration, and we really hope to see all of you there.
Thank you.
If a person couldn't go to the whole thing, it would be okay to just say maybe go to the conference?
Yes.
Do that separate?
Yes, you could go to the 3-day conference if you'd like, and that in that case, the fee would be much lower than what I mentioned.
Those are the first 3 days.
Those are the first 3 days. Yeah. But I tell you, what we're seeing down south is really awesome. The pyramids are really great.
Thank you, Claire, and thank you, board. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Kathleen and Robert. There's one other thing that came up recently in a council meeting, and we were debating whether to announce it now or wait. However, I would like to announce it with Jesus' permission and Almoria's permission. And that is, we've been having these Holy Spirit soul-raising sessions for quite a while now, and they have been beautiful. We've done over 800, I believe, altogether in the last 3 years or so. Almoria came forward and offered to overshine me to do something a little different moving forward. And we won't begin this immediately next year because we have some computer programming and things and scheduling and all this to do. But what it is discipleship sessions with Almoria. So there are 2 requirements. You have to be tithing to the Heart Center, not just somewhere else, but to the Heart Center. And you have to have pledged to be in the order of the Knights and Ladies of the Flame. Now that is a holy order. There's no monetary commitment in that order. It's just about prayer work. Prayer work for me, prayer work for all the other Knights and Ladies. So some of you are already in this holy order, and if you'd like more information on that, you can contact maybe Nancy or Claire here or Joyce Hennis in the future. She coordinates a lot for the Knights and Ladies. The reason for this is that many of us are progressing in our spiritual path to the point where we are preparing for our ascension. And the initiations can start to get pretty interesting, right? As all of you know. And I think Almoria is here to support us on the initiatic path and to provide some spiritual guidance. I'm not a licensed counselor, so this is not about counseling you with your life in terms of, what you should do and all this type of thing. It is, though, about spiritual guidance, and I believe it's going to be amazing. Now, the price is going to be less than what we're charging for the soul-raising sessions, which is great because it is only for those who tithe, and you're already giving a lot through your tithe. So I expect that we will probably begin these, as early as February. I think we can have it together to begin them in February. And of course, I'm going to Los Angeles for the expo then, but I think Almoria is very excited about this to help you. Now, what will these sessions look like? I don't think you're going to be chastised about anything, or, you think of Almoria and you think of the Blu-ray, and I tell you, to me, he's a very loving master. He's an amazing master who is very astute and can kind of cut to the chase on what you require for your spiritual path. Yet I don't think he's going to be yelling at anybody or, doing any of these things that maybe in past dispensations were kind of the norm. I expect it to be very interesting and very deep spiritual guidance for you. So I haven't done one yet. It's going to be, we'll see how it progresses. For those of you who love El Moria, I know that you'll probably like to be in communion with him for these, I think they're 20-minute sessions. Now, I will only be doing them on the phone on Tuesdays, 2 Tuesdays a month, on the phone. So at this point, there's no commitment to do any of them in person. It's only on the phone. I'll be in kind of the sanctity of my office, and there's people around the world who may desire them, so I'm going to set aside those Tuesdays. That's all I will do those days in the Heart Center. Unless I don't have any sessions. If no one signs up, I'll do other work, but I will pledge myself to be available on those 2 Tuesdays a month, solely for that if we fill up the slots. So when we have all the programming done and we have our announcement lined out with all the verbiage, then we'll put out a more formal presentation later with all the details. But anyway, I'm very excited about it. So now we're going to be preparing for the coming of the Divine Director with some prayers and songs. And if you would like to stand up and stretch or use the facilities in the next 20 minutes or so, feel free. Claire? What? Oh, we do it? Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Can't you do it after the heart stream? Yeah, I think people will be inspired, I think, to give more.
Will you still be doing the Holy Spirit?
Yes, I'll still be doing the Holy Spirit sessions. They're not going to, So, we're going to start with Raise the Earth and Sacred Fire, and I would love it if I had a little help from other prayer leaders. 70.001. Raise the Earth and Sacred Fire. And after we give this a number of times, we can also sing it. So we'll go right into the body, as it appears on page 18 of the Pray, Sing, Dance, and Play With Us booklet. Raise the Earth and Sacred Fire. Together. Om Mani Padme Hum. Divine Director, cosmic being of blue flame energy, wrap the earth in sacred fire we now implore of thee. Sustain protection for all life upon this blessed earth, and seal it in God's blazing light we see a great rebirth. Raise the earth in sacred fire, Divine Director's one desire. Cleanse our world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Our evolutions race unto a golden age now come, and right the axis of our globe is it to spin and hum. We see a renaissance of light and victory for each soul. We see a world where all attested freedom is our goal. Raise the earth in sacred fire, Divine Director's one desire. Cleanse our world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Teacher of our Saint Germain and blessed portion near, inspire our youth to know their love, O blessed Master dear. Your alchemy now activate, we pledge to do our part. Now violet fire is blazing bright in every home and heart. Raise the earth in sacred fire, Divine Director's one desire. Cleanse our world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Divine Director, cosmic being of blue flame energy, wrap the earth in sacred fire we now implore of thee. Sustain protection for all life upon this blessed earth, and seal it in God's blazing light we see a great rebirth. Raise the earth in sacred fire, Divine Director's one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Our evolutions race unto a golden age now come, and right the axis of our globe is it to spin and hum. We see a renaissance of light and victory for each soul. We see a world where all attested freedom is our goal. Raise the earth in sacred fire, Divine Director's one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Teacher of our Saint Germain and blessed portion here, inspire you to know the love of blessed Master dear. Your alchemy now activate, we pledge to do our part. Now violet fire is blazing bright in every home and heart. Raise the earth and sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Divine director, cosmic being of flame energy. Wrap the earth in sacred fire, we now implore thee. Setting benediction full life upon this blessed earth. And sealed in God blazing light, we see a great rebirth. Raise the earth in sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Our revolutions race unto a golden age not come. And right the axis of our globe is set to spin and hum. We see a renaissance of light and victory for its soul. We see a world where all attested freedom is our goal. Raise the earth and sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Teacher of our Saint Germain and blessed portion near, inspire you to know the love of blessed Master dear. Your alchemy now activate, we pledge to do our part. Now violet fire is blazing bright in every home and heart. Raise the earth and sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Divine director, cosmic being of blue flame energy. Wrap the earth in sacred fire, we now implore thee. Sustaining benediction full life upon this blessed earth. And sealing in God blazing light, we see a great rebirth. Raise the earth in sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Our revolutions race unto a golden age not come. And right the axis of our globe is set to spin and hum. We see a renaissance of light and victory for its soul. We see a world where all touch and freedom is our goal. Raise the earth and sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Teacher of our Saint Germain and blessed portion near, inspire you to know the love of blessed Master dear. Your alchemy now activate, we pledge to do our part. Now violet fire is blazing bright in every home and heart. Raise the earth and sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Divine director, cosmic being of blue flame energy. Wrap the earth in sacred fire, we now implore thee. Sustain benediction for life upon this blessed earth. And see that in God blazing light, we see a great rebirth. Raise the earth in sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Our revolutions race into a golden age not come. And right the axis of our globe is set to spin and hum. We see a renaissance of light and victory for its soul. We see a world where all touch and freedom is our goal. Raise the earth and sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Teacher of our Saint Germain and blessed portion here, inspire you to know the love of blessed Master dear. Your alchemy now activate, we pledge to do our part. Now violet fire is blazing bright in every home and heart. Raise the earth and sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Divine director, cosmic being of blue flame energy. Wrap the earth in sacred fire, we now implore thee. Sustain benediction for life upon this blessed earth. And see that in God blazing light, we see a great rebirth. Raise the earth in sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Our revolutions race into a golden age not come. And right the axis of our globe is set to spin and hum. We see a renaissance of light and victory for its soul. We see a world where all touch and freedom is our goal. Raise the earth in sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Teacher of our Saint Germain and blessed portion near, inspire you to know the love of blessed Master dear. Your alchemy now activate, we pledge to do our part. Now violet fire is blazing bright in every home and heart. Raise the earth in sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. I'll sing it. Let the bellows out. Divine director, cosmic being of blue flame energy. Oh, wrap the earth in sacred fire, we now implore of thee. Sustain protection for a life upon this blessed earth. And seal in God's blazing light, we see a great rebirth. Raise the earth in sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse the world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. Our evolutions raise unto a golden age now come, and right the axis of our globe it does spin and hum. We see a renaissance of light and victory for each soul. We see a world where all attest that freedom is our goal. Raise the earth in sacred fire, divine directors, one desire. Cleanse our world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. teacher of our Saint Germain and blessed portion here. Inspire our youth to know their love, oh blessed Master dear. Your alchemy now activate, we pledge to do our part. Now violet fire is blazing bright in every home and heart. Raise the earth, sacred fire, find directors one desire. Cleanse our world from errors past, now every soul is free at last. We're going to give the next prayer, and in addition to wash the earth and violet fire, after we give that one time, I will lead you in other verbiage that I'll share before we do each one with the 5 different verses or lines. So here we go together. I pray for the washing, cleansing, spinning, raising, and sealing of the earth and its evolutions this day with the violet fire, magnified and accelerated by Maximus and Progenita, for the transmutation of all karma, burden, suffering, and substance that opposes the dawning of the great golden age of Aquarius, the coming of Lord Maitreya and his retinue to the earth, and the victory of the heart center and all light bearers this day. We see our beloved planet Earth now ensconced in violet fire, blazing brightly everywhere across our earth, penetrating everything with this cosmic joy field of love and light. And we see freedom manifesting everywhere together. Wash the earth in violet fire. 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 Cleanse 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 the earth in violet fire. Spin 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 the earth in violet fire. Raise 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 the earth in violet fire. Seal the earth in violet fire, seal the earth in violet fire, seal the earth in violet fire, seal the earth in violet fire. Mercy light. Wash the earth in 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 mercy light. Cleanse 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 the earth in mercy light. Spin 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 the earth in mercy light. Raise 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 the earth in mercy light. Seal 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 the earth in solar, or we'll say all of them in solar light. Wash the earth 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 in solar light. Cleanse 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 the earth in solar light. Spin 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 the earth in solar light. Raise 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 the earth in solar light. Seal 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 the earth in solar light. Crystal light. Wash the earth in 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 crystal light. Cleanse 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 the earth in crystal light. Spin 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 the earth in crystal light. Raise 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 the earth in crystal light. Seal 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 the earth in crystal light. Emerald light. Wash the earth in 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 emerald light. Cleanse 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 the earth in emerald light. Spin 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 the earth in emerald light. Raise 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 the earth in emerald light. Seal 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 the the earth in emerald light, ruby joy. Oh, wash the earth in ruby joy, 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 cleanse 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 the earth in ruby joy, spin 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 the earth in ruby joy, raise 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 the earth in ruby joy, seal the earth in ruby joy,
Seal the earth in ruby joy.
seal the earth in ruby joy, seal the earth in ruby joy. Lapis light. Oh, wash the earth in lapis light, 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 cleanse 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 the earth in lapis light, spin 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 the earth in lapis light, raise 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 the earth in lapis light, seal 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 the earth in lapis light. Golden joy. Oh, wash the earth in golden joy, 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 cleanse 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 the earth in golden joy, spin 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 the earth in golden joy, raise 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 the earth in golden joy, seal 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 the earth in golden joy. In the fullness of your cosmic joy, we accept these prayers manifest here and now with full love, wisdom, and power, anchored in the earth, air, fire, water, and ether, and tangibly manifest in our lives and in the lives of all evolutions of light throughout cosmos. Om Mani Padme Hum. So every cell phone is completely off, is that right? Including mine? The Divine Director is anchoring now planetary providence, progress, and peace through you. You are the answer to the dilemma of Earth. In your hands rests the destiny of your nation, your family, your people, your culture. In your heart is the key to all that can transpire, that will indeed raise all life in sacred fire. In your mind are the cosmic elements and engrams of golden wisdom that when utilized can light a world, can illumine all schools, universities, colleges, campuses, institutions of higher learning, even down to the tiny microbes which go to school in their own domains. In your wills is the opportunity to proceed directly to the summit of being and thereby win the day for those who rely upon you, for your virtue, and for what and who you represent. God, love, beingness. When you take accountability and responsibility for the golden crystal age, manifesting every day, every hour, within your consciousness, within your being, then it is so. Because you are co-creating it with me. Therefore, look not outside to see where, when, with whom, how the golden crystal age and planetary freedom may manifest. Look solely within the universe of self, the cosmos of your being, the planetary home of all of the virtues that coexist within you and within me. And when we work as one, our work is nearly done. You see, blessed hearts, there is a poesy to how light proceeds in the artistry of spirit, in the illumination of worlds, and the digestion of divine concepts, and the assimilation of light. And when you know yourself as the cosmos, when you accept that you are a reflection of the divine, then all things are possible. Miracles do indeed ensue. And the possibilities for cosmic interchanges between you and any divine being become natural, easy, fluent, providential. The only limitation that there is anywhere in the universe is within one's own self-concept and self-image. Self-realize a new image. Self-realize a new concept of self. And then empower that higher image and concept with light. This is alchemy for initiates, breaching worlds to ascend to the highest heights. You may use your decrees and words ensconced in rhythm and rhyme to co-create a portion of the divine. Yet, dearest ones, the Word who you are is the active energy of those other words' manifestation. The Word who you are is the answer to every question, when you know where to find it and how to utilize it. Even our heartstrings are for open minds and hearts, and those who are available to listen to and hear our sharings, our inspirations. Yet you must now be our words revealed and manifest in your world. We are no longer in the world as you are, though we were of it and remain tethered to it simply to fulfill Earth's destiny. You are the active co-creators of all that can be, shall be, as you see it, believe it, accept it, know it, as you live it. Your lives are always in God's hands. Your hearts have always beat in unison with the divine heart. And the synchronicity of the macrocosm with the microcosm. Yet, if you would like a greater collaboration with the Divine One, step up the frequencies of love and light within self, and accept your new state of conscious beingness, solar awareness, and then find within your true self all that is required to remain inspired, to remain one, one, one. El Moria has given you a mantra in his book that even newly ascended masters in many retreats utilize in preparation for their ascension or for their return to earth to fulfill their vows and to complete their assignments. I am one, I am one, I am one with the sun. I am one with the great central sun, leads your spirit directly to that source of all light and beingness. God is here in my heart. I am one with God's heart. Light expand through my heart. Love expand through my heart. Look at these words, feel them, imbibe the energy of them, and you, like Moria El, will be one through whom God's will reigns supreme. Yes, I tutored him even as I have tutored Saint Germain and Jesus and others of the Chohans. And in my cosmo-conception of the seventh age as a Manu, I have held for even the Chohans a high ideal that they are stretching forth into in order for the great assimilation to occur within mankind. Yes, the Chohans are challenged to be even greater lords of light, dearest ones, by the Maha Chohan. And if even these great beings are progressing toward a higher level of divinity and the expression of light in their beings, you too can challenge self to so assimilate greater light, emanate it, and ingest cosmic fire, solar joy, and the illumination of far-off worlds where the stars are much brighter than yours and the galaxies shine forth with supernal glory. I take you now on a journey to the center of this galaxy, where you can see co-creation manifesting within the macrocosm, and of how many solar systems, or what we call solar families, are witnessing and evolving through and into as a cosmic progression of the ages, the Manvantaras. You see through the lens of the eyes of Alpha and Omega how, oh, so many star children have yet to be born. Oh, how many little seedlings of light as initiates await the full flowering of their divinity, the full manifestation of their I am nature. When one ascends, all ascend. When one self-realizes, all are raised in glory. And therefore, make your greatest work from this day forward to be one through whom the light did complete its mission. As the enlightenment and self-realization of who you are in God, as the full subsumation of yourself with your source. And know a new eternality. Do you know eternity yet? If you have not felt the cosmic love of the divine ones, as the efflatus of the Holy Spirit moving through you, through any instant of your life, within any moment of your beingness, then, dearest ones, you are missing out on the greatest adventure of all time and space. The venture to know self as God and to be within the I am, pure, undefiled love. From our new vantage point, you see how every decision that you as an initiate make affects the whole. Would you take greater accountability and responsibility then to allow every thought and feeling to be pure, holy, unencumbered with the ego sense of the woe is me awareness? Would you embrace a new level of divine patience with self and others? Understanding the context of everything and the framework of creation itself? Would you read the Agni Yoga books and assimilate every line as if you had spoken them as Moriel, knowing what you know as a master and attempting to inspire those of all cultures with that fire, that Agni light? You see, in the training of this one, we had him read those books as well as many pearls of wisdom, keepers of the flame lessons and other sacred texts out loud between the lines of the Hail Mary prayers. And as these words were spoken, the etchings of light within the fabric of his spirit and soul shone brightly. And change was wrought to prepare the way for the Word made flesh to manifest again as our messages have gone forth now for 14 years and more. What is your message? Who are you influencing? Are you truly desirous of the highest level of fire manifesting within to brighten this world with the glory of God within you? These are pithy questions to consider in the context of the ages. And yet I come descending into matter as tangibly as I am allowed to inculcate within this present body of initiates, the light that they require for planetary change to manifest. Who can we go to save those who know God as self? To restore our planet to its pristine state of glory. It is you, precious ones, who must do the work, who must invoke the word, and who can, by this activity, sustain a harmonic balance that will indeed usher in our vision of perfection. Many understand a little and claim to know all, when indeed the wisest claim to know little, and thus are indeed rich in spiritual understanding. Where are you on the scale? The humblest among you often shines with the greatest glory through the simple acts of service, kindness, and the similitude and the gentility of a pure love, the love of a child. I speak from within your souls in order for you to feel my love and the new empowerment that I trust you will utilize to glorify God daily. And I will begin classes in my retreat over India, the cave of light, where you can come and receive 33 discourses on divine truth and New Age wisdom. If you dare to come to observe and assimilate these treatises, you will be the great beneficiaries of the word of the Logos speaking through me, and thereby illumining our planet and all life thereupon. And then, if you remember even a little bit of this teaching and bring it back within your waking hours to your conscious awareness, you may share it within the circles of your communities for the edification of others in the joy field of our united love. O holy ones, God is great. There is only one eternal source. We bow before the great I Am and the great central sun in obeisance and humility, and thereby we are blessed in the eternality of that light and the harmony and peace of our union. In this sacred moment, send now streamers of light and love to all whom you know to ensconce them in this presence, raising them up and sealing them in solar joy. I am your divine director. I conduct many choirs of initiates and many symphonies of solar heart friends. Whether you sing or play an instrument, within these sacred troops and groups, it matters not. What is required is simply that your heart is afire with God desire to be one always. Thank you. As we play the Radetzky March, we will have our love offering now. In the name I am that I am, we call for the victory of the multiplication of this offering with the full empowerment of Maximus and the divine director, Metatron Melchizedek, and the Adam Kadmon of every light bearer, worlds without end. Let it be so, and let it glorify God in how it will be utilized within this community of light. Amen. So we have about a 10-minute intermission, and then please be back for Jackie Fleeter's presentation on VOS 2 at about 4:15. So we're catching up. The master didn't have enough time, but we did it anyway. Thank you.
Yes, just a reminder that Boris is upstairs. He's an essential oil practitioner. So if you have any wellness issues at all, you can meet Boris upstairs and form a line. And you can still hear the presentations, up there. If you have something like a knee problem or something like that, there is an essential oil for everything. So Boris is upstairs. He has his kit. If you have any questions about anything, talk to Boris. I don't know much about it.
Go ahead and start. What's that? Oh, talk. Okay. So I can go ahead? Okay. We're starting. Hello, everyone. I'm Jackie Fleeter, and today I'm here to talk to you about the healing power of Vastu temples and a little bit about the mission of the Healing Light Retreat. I've talked to you before in different presentations on Vastu temples, and this one is focusing more on the healing power of them. I'll talk just a little bit, next slide, about this, just briefly about the science, which is Vastu science is also called Maonic science and technology, and it was developed by Mayan, who was in India about 12,000 years ago. And Mayan is Sanat Kumara. So here's our Sanat Kumara here. And it's an ancient science of architecture. Actually, Vastu covers a lot of other sciences too, but we're focusing on architecture here. And this architecture creates little universes that benefit mankind, little spiritual universes, using architecture. Vastu science is a study of the unmanifest form of God consciousness, God consciousness, called Vastu with one A. And it becomes the manifest form of God's substance, Vastu, with two A's. And so this is the study of this, and how do you do that, and how can it benefit mankind? Next slide. So here's a picture of Mayan, Sanat Kumara as Brahma Rishi Mayan, and as he was in India. And he liked to hang out in the forest, but he built these beautiful buildings. So here's, in my temple, Rairoshana came in 2013, and he said, in Patagonia, Arizona, he said, "Study Vastu, for you will discern the eternal truth within the architecture, the numerology and the cosmology embedded within this science. The matrix of the mind of God embedded within form, when accessed by the conscious ones upon earth. Yes, dearest ones, this lineage harkens back to the Ancient of Days and the great central sun, and the transfer of this knowledge of divine mathematics and sacred geometry is available to those whose eyes are quickened, whose minds are infused with the starfire radiance of Syria, and of the starry beings who hold the cosmos together." So next slide. Here's my temple. Okay, and the next one after that. So here's my temple that I built in Patagonia, Arizona. Next slide. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to cover the difference between Vastu temples and other temples, because Dennis asked me about a temple in Los Angeles, whether it was a Vastu temple. So I thought I would speak on that a little bit. So Vastu temples and associated structures are built on a grid of light called a Vastu Purusha Mandala, and this is the matrix of the mind of God, and we use very precise measurements. The building vibration is matched with the owner and the occupants using divine mathematics, which is cosmology and numerology, and also wave mechanics is involved, to raise the consciousness of the occupants and helping them achieve health, wealth, and enlightenment, because they're attuned to God, so they make better choices. The buildings are aligned on the Earth grid in the cardinal directions, so the structure can properly absorb the Earth's Vastu energy, because the Earth is a big Vastu structure, and so this is sacred geometry, part of it. Okay, the cube shape in the center of the building and the rising pyramidal structure of the roof precipitates energy from pure God consciousness, which is available for the occupants. Once constructed and used correctly, the building becomes a positive energy flow field. And an energy fence around the building helps contain the energy for the occupants' use and filters out negative energy from that is impacting the building site from other people or other things going on. Careful placement of walls, windows, and doors and rooms function are considered to optimize the energy flow in the building. So next slide. So this is just a quick graphic. This is actually my house, but temples are similar. And you're showing the lower ones, my house, and showing the grid of light and then the energy fence around it, just to give you an idea how it's built on a grid of light. So go to the next slide. So this is the temple that Dennis asked about in Los Angeles, the Sri Swami Narayan Mandir temple. Well, and Mandir means Hindu temple, I think. So this is in Los Angeles. Now, it's a beautiful building. And he said, well, is this a Vastu temple? So go to the next slide. And what we have here is another temple. This is a temple in India, and it's a known Vastu building. And so you can see that they look similar. The temples look similar. This is a much older temple. So what is the other one a Vastu temple? Well, the details tell the story. And so, we can go to the next slide. This shows the Sri Swami Narayan Mandir temple on Google Maps. And you can see that it's, first of all, it's not lined north, south, east, west. So that's one thing saying it's probably not a Vastu temple. Then it's also got the energy fence around it. It has some kind of thing, but it's really probably not what we would do. The the roof of the structure is not a rising pyramidal structure in the middle like we tend to do. And then they have a water feature in the front, which wouldn't be a very good location for a Vastu building. So my feeling is it's probably not a Vastu structure. It's a beautiful building, but not a Vastu building. So a Vastu temple is a highly energized building that creates bliss in the occupant. The temple is a living form of God. Vastu temples precipitate light and also geometrize, magnify, and anchor light released through prayers and meditation. Temples other than Vastu design could have been built with different types of sacred geometry that energize the structure and precipitate light. And then prayers offered in these other temples, prayers offered to God, can energize the structure. So a person may feel very good in another structure, and here we have the Temple of Clarity, and people were talking about how they felt the great energy. The Vastu energy is a little different feeling, but it's still, it's still, we should respect all these buildings. Basically, in either case, whatever kind of temple you're in, attention upon the temple through prayers and meditation and contemplation is very important to keep the flow field going. So Jesus talked about the resurrection flame in Vastu temples. He said, we know that at the 2/3 point from the center of the base of the pyramid towards the apex, the resurrection fire manifests. The living reality of light also manifests within Vastu temples, which are built on certain proportions according to divine mathematics. Therefore, when you pray in a temple or even within a room consecrated for prayers, meditation, and spiritual practice, you can establish the flow field of the pyramid and then sustain the resurrection current and fire within it as so long as you maintain harmony and engage in your practice virtually on a daily basis. If you travel in your mind, you can see yourself positioned there to reestablish and maintain that current and flow field. So you could do that here, you could do it in any of the temples, is project yourself there, when you're not there. So Vastu temples are known for helping people heal. So the tradition in small villages in India is for people to go to the local temple and spend time in it or sleep in it. The person will be healed or receive inspiration about how to heal. And at the heart of the Vastu temple is a deva who ensouls the building. She distributes the energy and facilitates healing. So one person's description, which is our own Boyd Batten, of the deva of the Healing Light Retreat when it was being built, during the pre-building ceremony was a fire-like being whose aura was over 100 feet high and 50 feet wide. And Boyd said that the overall effect of the ceremony was that of creating something which had a very, very powerful fields in the astral, mental, etheric, Buddhic, causal, atmic, and octaves beyond. So the body of the temple had a remarkably powerful counterparts in all of these higher octaves of consciousness, and thus could act as a doorway for divine energies to flow from any of these regions of consciousness. And he said he could see waterfalls of light coming down and across the valley. This is Paradise Valley. So the temple deva showed him a preview of what she would be doing with the builders and how the geometry of finishing the building would allow her to concentrate and direct the energy much more powerfully and precisely. I can see how the physical nature of buildings, Boyd's saying, allows a deva to act much more tangibly than one who is more free-ranging. And it's remarkable to see the serene but absolute resolve in the eyes of one like this to do her work for the benefit of life. These beings are truly a direct expression or ray of God. And so this is what I call, this is Boyd's description, but I felt it myself during the very stages of building. And these devas that are created by these Vastu temples are magnificent. Now, I'm sure that there's devas with other temples and beings that overshadow them, but I think this is part of Mayan's dispensation. He has a matrix for doing things. A lot of things that we do to create these beautiful devas that really can help mankind. And this deva of this temple, as Boyd was saying, and again in his testimony, he said, was different from the ones he'd seen before in the relative complexity necessitated by her specifically working with mankind. An analogy might be that of a relative differences between a gardener and a physics professor. One is not more important or beautiful than the other, rather the wide range of tasks and duties and the capacity for arcane complexity of thought and action is simply much wider for the latter. And then he said, I thought that was because she is there to work with people and their concerns, and people can create problems which are very complex and difficult to harmonize. So this is the temple, these are the temple devas here, and they're special that they can help people, and specifically. And so finally, Boyd's comment was, I'd like to emphasize how alive the temple was when you visit there, and please speak to the deva to thank her and bless her, and don't think of her as something removed just because you might not see her or perhaps even feel her. The more you engage with her, the more likely you are to get a tangible response. So, and I've heard this from other people before too. There was one woman that came to my temple and she said she felt the energies of the buildings all the time. And she said that this was the first building that ever talked to her and interacted with her. So it's remarkable, definitely. So I've got a few healing stories that I was going to read to you in the Vastu temples that we took testimony on. One woman said, I have post-traumatic stress disorder, and spending time in a Vastu temple provides me with calmness, and I'm a happier person. I go to the temple to meditate. If I'm upset or tired, the sense of peace I receive is so profound. As I feel the living energy of the building, I have clarity about my life. If I require rest, peace, physical healing, or I desire to figure out a problem, the temple gives that to me. The more time I spend in the temple, the more these changes take effect. Okay, next slide. So that was one testimony. Another testimony on the temple was, the temple deva gets to the root of the problem in my psychology that is causing illness. A person has to change at a fundamental level of consciousness to heal, and has to desire to change. Meditation in the temple helps me understand and overcome my bad habits. So they not only help with physical healing, but they help with emotional, mental healing. Another lady who visited the Healing Light Retreat had arthritis of the spine, where her vertebrae were fused together. She was bent over the waist and unable to stand straight up straight. The following is her experience in the temple of healing at the Healing Light Retreat. I sat in a chair in the healing temple and prayed to the presiding angel deva for healing and enlightenment. A voice told me to get off the chair and kneel. I haven't kneeled for a very long time, but I did as I was asked. I continued to pray. Then the voice said, cross your legs. I was able to do this with little effort, even though my spine is fused and makes kneeling and crossing my legs very difficult. The voice then said, one sip does not quench the thirst, probably meaning it takes more than one treatment for the full healing to take place. I was able to stand up easily and thank the angel deva. When outside, I realized that for the first time in years, I was able to get off the floor without assistance or help. Yes. So, and I've heard a few other stories of healing, and people get a lot of insight about their divine plan and all kinds of things. So there's a lot to be gained, not just physical healing. I go to my temple all the time when I'm not feeling well and just work around the garden, and I feel much better after I do that. So the next slide, okay, you've got it. Mother Mary establishes a fountain of light at the Healing Light Retreat. So now we're talking more specifically about this temple. I address you this day from the Healing Light Retreat, a sacred place where many are destined to come to receive blessings from a fountain of light that I've established here in cooperation with the Deva who oversees the Temple Beautiful, the Vastu Temple. In this cooperation, we together have communed to decide how we may draw forth from the etheric planes a greater lodestone of light to magnetize souls unto these holy environs. Therefore, it is our pleasure to establish collectively this sacred fountain of light, for some may feel its and even see its radiance. Some may experience these currents, empowered by the Holy Spirit, and receive the bestowal through the gift of healing of certain inner or outer graces that could result in the alleviation of suffering and pain, both within the body temple itself, within the mind, within the emotions, and even within the memory body through the erasing of certain personal and karmic or personal and planetary records. Okay, so this is next slide. Dispensation by Mother Mary at the Healing Light Retreat and the angel Deva to help us heal if we visit the property. So Mother Mary continues and says, when we commune together and pray at the Healing Light Retreat, we will receive a new anointing of the Spirit in our midst. Maha Chohan himself has pledged to attend these sessions. When 5 or more are gathered, Mother Mary, with the angel Deva of the temple, will be there in numbers of healing angels surrounding this property and investing their light in every square inch of it for the benefit of sentient beings and for gracing the whole area in a veil of holiness. So Mother Mary's vision for the Healing Light Retreat, she would draw forth infinite resources of the emerald ray from this fount of light. She said that we will see classes of all kinds presented on various subjects. Divine teaching will be transferred to thousands of souls about the care of the body temple and about how to restore balance within and without so that one may live a life to glorify God. This will be more than simply a place for people to come for outer healing and stimulation. The true healing begins within, she says. The Maha Chohan may walk and talk with you as you work upon this and within this retreat. And a legacy of perfection, even of the ancient Essene teachings, will be restored here and established for future generations. So next slide. So I briefly put up the mission and vision of the Healing Light Retreat, which the Healing Light Retreat offers free healing to all who come using holistic healing methods. And the vision is to help hundreds and then thousands at some point in the future. Okay. So we'll go to, retreat origin. The retreat was created by Mother Mary and also by the generous donation of Maydel Gallart. And Maydel gave her 10-acre property, including her home and outbuildings, to fulfill Mother Mary's vision for the retreat. So, next slide. That's the Healing Light Retreat. And I just briefly mention the staff, next slide, which is Maydel and Stephen. Maydel's the director, and Stephen assists her in Paradise Valley at the retreat. And then we had Dr. Nancy Latch, which you guys she gave a talk yesterday. And we have Mona, who's helping us with the permaculture. And then myself and Deborah and Nancy Batten are the board members. And we've had many volunteers helping at the retreat, a lot of people from Livingston. And it really is a labor of love. And I think at some point it will really reach many people, all this energy that you guys have been putting in it to beautify the gardens. Okay, next slide. Okay, current services provided. So right now, our staff it's minimal, or not minimal, but it's volunteer staff. And so we're doing the best we can with what resources we have. We have a website that we've got up, and through the website you can ask for information on healing, you can ask for prayers, and ask questions about healing. People can visit the property, the gardens, and the temple to experience the healing energies from Mother Mary, from Mother Nature, and from the Temple Deva and other beings of light on the property. People can attend prayer services also. They hold once a month we hold, the Heart Center comes down and does a broadcast, and then I think it's once every couple, well, not in the winter, yeah. Not in the winter. And then a couple times during the Friday nights, I think a month, they have some prayer services.
We're going to be doing more though.
Yeah.
We've got equipment to do the broadcasts.
Yeah, more frequently. So, and then Dr. Nancy can meet people. In the next 2 years, we hope to provide services where Dr. Nancy can meet people for healing consultation in Oregon and possibly Montana in the future. And we would also like to sponsor some healthy chat groups with a specific focus on an area or general chat groups on health. And we can do that through an internet or the phone. And Nancy can make presentations about healing at events, which we've done here. Other health practitioners can volunteer at the Healing Light Retreat to provide healing for people. In the future, we would like to have healing consultations at a future facility on the property. So that's what we're working for, is to build it up and to have more healing practitioners offering different modalities. And I just wanted to say something too about, next slide, okay, how nature helps us heal. So we've made an effort to beautify the property with the permaculture gardens. And I just wanted to, I think we all know this, but some articles I got on this, gardens are important for beauty and healing. So this one was from Scientific American, and it said, hospital gardens turn out to have medical benefits. Just 3 to 5 minutes spent looking at views dominated by trees, flowers, or water can begin to reduce anger, anxiety, and pain and induce relaxation, according to various studies of healthy people that measured psychological changes in blood pressure, muscle tension, or heart and brain electrical activity. So here's, proof that we know that, and it doesn't take very long. So another article I read, National Geographic, was talking about how our brains aren't tireless 3-pound machines like maybe our computers are. And so when they are easily fatigued, and when we slow down, stop the busy work, and take in beautiful natural surroundings, not only do we feel restored, but our mental performance improves too. So David Strayer has demonstrated this with a group of Outward Bound participants who performed 50% better on creative problem-solving tasks after 3 days of wilderness backpacking. So, yeah, everybody needs to go backpacking or get out in nature. Next slide. So here's one of the gardens, part of the garden at the Healing Light Retreat. And to get to this point, it's been a little bit of a challenge with all the things eating everything.
Oh, God, dear, go away.
Yeah. But it's really coming along. We're learning what they don't eat. And here's some fruit trees fruiting out. It's beautiful.
Inside fences that the deer climb.
Yeah, that's where. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so I just wanted to say the angel of Deva of Paradise Valley also spoke on nature and communing with nature, and she was grateful that we had the property there and the temple and the Deva and all the help that she was giving to us. And she talked about asking us to enter in a greater communion daily with the natural world. And when we do this, it gives you insights into your own natural world, and it helps you fulfill your divine design and your purpose, walking consciously upon earth. So definitely you guys got to come down to the Healing Light Retreat. Here's next slide. Angel. So next slide. So we desire the Healing Light Retreat future development. We talked about a healing center expanding the permaculture gardens. We'd like, it's probably going to cost somewhere around $1.5 million to get to where we really want to get to with the property, developing the property. And we would like more healing practitioners and volunteers to join the retreat as it expands. And if anybody would like to volunteer, please see me. This retreat was built through the donations of many. And for more information, you can go to our website, which is healinglightretreat.org. Or if you'd like to become a patron to help us realize Mother Mary's vision, you can make a one-time donation or recurring donation. And we have a button on our website up there. And you can also send us a check, and on the website's the address, but it's P.O. Box 1082, Immigrant, Montana, 59027, if you want to send a check. Okay, you're on this. Okay, great. Okay, next slide. And then I just wanted to touch briefly that Angel of Truth Verity also placed an emerald matrix in the temple, and she chanted and put this emerald cubic matrix of truth as a talisman. And now, so truth is pervaded throughout the earth. So it's also a temple of truth. Okay, next slide. Okay, this one, now we're switching gears a little bit. I'm showing here where current Vastu temples in the Heart Center are. Now these are garbhas. These are the small temples, not the large ones that I showed at the beginning. Those are actually real temples, and these are temples. I mean, we know them as temples, and they're really well built, these little ones that we built. But when you build these huge temples, you put special stuff in them, and they have to be attended daily by a flame or prayers, and have lights in them and stuff. Where these garbhas, it's a good idea to do that and always attend to it to keep the flow field, but it's not as critical. So when I'm showing temples here, I'm talking about these ones that are more easy for us to maintain, the smaller ones. So the purple ones that I have on this chart are the ones within the Heart Center. There's one down in Arizona, the purple one in Montana is the Healing Light Retreat, and the one purple on the coast is the Mount Shasta. And so you can see a grid of light is going through those, and actually it goes through all of them. I see a lot of times when I pray, I see light going into the earth on the grid lines and to these other temples, and all kinds of temples, like even the monument, Washington Monument, for instance. Those things also are temples, and when the light goes through the grid, it lights them all up. So but anyway, so these are the purple ones are the ones we have built. The green ones within the Heart Center. And I think, too, that we use them more for prayers and meditation. Other groups do use them, but I don't think they are as focused on that as we are. So I think our part of the grid really lights up when we use it. So the green ones are my teacher's students, and her students have built these green ones that you see throughout the earth. So those are built. So the purple and the green ones are built. The red ones are ones that would be nice to build, maybe one on each continent. And so I just put those out there for people to contemplate. So you can visualize that. Okay, next slide. So make sure when visiting the temples that you spend some quiet time of prayer or meditation in it. Bring a crystal to be charged while in the temple. Place the crystal on your altar. And Mary has also brought some rocks that we charge. And one of the things that Temple Deva told us was to charge the rocks and place them all around. And then and they could be, these don't have to be on your altar, they could just be on your garden, outside or something. And then when you pray in the temple, or you pray at your altar and you have a crystal, it activates all the temples and all the rocks. And so then those prayers are going all over the place. So Mary's going to, at some point, pass some of those out. So we talked about when you're praying, you can visit the temples, but then when you leave, you can project your consciousness into the temple for the healing and magnification of your prayers. And we talked about seeing the grid of light between them. So, Archangel Michael, next slide, recently charged all the temples. He said even all the temples upon earth that are being architected, including our Vastu temples, he charged them all with greater light than ever before. So he said, enter these temples with love, cherishment toward all life, meditate and pray with your entire being, and see the handiwork of the Lord manifest through these living enterprises of godliness. So that was in March of this year. Next slide. So, next, oh, you got it, okay. Okay, Hercules, and I'm just putting this in, this was at the temple, at Robert and Kathleen Beese's temple, and Hercules came to Mount Shasta, and he talked about placing a foci of light within the earth under this temple, 33 feet below the crust, and these would be generators of God power to come to this. So all that who would come to this temple in future months and years and decades would receive the impetus of fire, and all that it will facilitate as cosmic transformation within. So he told us to prepare for ourselves when we come to Mount Shasta and receive these graces and these light energies when you enter the temple, and they will be stupendous, and some will have greater abundance and greater opportunity to serve. So it's a great blessing. And the last slide is just a picture of Vastu Purusha that I painted in my temple. So, and that's the representation of the spirit of Vastu coming in the earth and manifesting on the grid, the mandala.
Is it on the floor?
Yeah, it's on the floor.
Cool.
So that concludes my presentation on this, and let's see, I could take some questions if you guys have questions. Yeah, we'll do that after. Do you have any questions? No questions, huh? We just got questions.
Jackie, I got a question.
Okay.
So, a couple years ago, you brought...
Should we do the mic?
Want a mic?
So the people on the front desk can hear.
So, a couple years ago, you came to the Temple of Clarity and you brought me some rocks. And we placed them outside. And how does that work?
Well, what David told us is that when we put the rocks in the temple, or crystals are even better, but if all you have is rocks and you want to distribute them, you put the rocks in the temple, you let them charge, it puts her waveform in there. She puts her waveform and her essence in there, and then we can distribute them. So she told us to take them, we put them all the way between Patagonia and here. We put them in the ocean. We've had people take them all over the world. And she's saying that when I'm in the temple, or when somebody has one of those rocks and is praying, and that it will activate the rock, and the rock will activate the temple, and it will activate all the other rocks. So that's one way of keeping in contact with it. So when you're doing here praying, you're actually activating my temple. And then
You're praying, you're activating.
Yeah, I'm activating your temple. So
I do the same thing.
Everybody's got a rock now.
yeah,
Jackie, I do that same thing with all the organites that I make.
yeah. So
I can just, with a single thought and a feeling, I can just light them all up. There's over 2,000.
yeah, so we
of
got
them.
the Boyd temple too.
Well, I totally understand what you're saying though about, you might say bonding a crystal matrix, in a physical stone, a crystal, allowing the David to bond to that, and then allowing that crystal wherever it is, and anywhere in the universe, she can just be there. She can be there.
Be there, yeah.
That's
And
how
they
it
do.
is.
The Davids do move around too, which is interesting. So Oh, we got one more question? Okay.
Oh, a statement. So thank you very much for this teaching. And so when you all come to Mount Shasta this summer, you can take a rock from our temple too.
Yeah, you have them charge
Or
it.
bring one and give it to, and bring some.
Bring some and take some.
Good, give and take, I like it.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. But you got to be on the.
So we don't have a Vastu temple, but we have our little temple in Los Angeles. And then when we're praying, sometimes I see angels come flying around, and angels standing here. And sometimes I have made some questions, and they don't answer to me right there. But when I get out of the door, then I get my answer.
Oh, really?
Or
they don't talk in the temple?
No, they don't talk at the temple. So but they're around, but they answer. I go to the garden over there, and I hear the voice answering, or outside the door.
That's interesting.
So I will put this in the temple.
Okay, the last thing I wanted to mention was the Healing Light Retreat. We created a couple of focus cards, which we're going to pass around. One is the Healing Thought Form, and the other one's the Healing Heart Form. And Mother Mary came during a staff meeting and said about the Healing Thought Form. This is similar to one that was in the Summit Lighthouse that they talked about with the white, the blue, the green. And she said put a yellow golden ring around it, and then with the violet flame. So this is a little bit different, and it describes, you got words on the back describing the thought form and maybe a little prayer. And then also Vistala came, I think I said that right, Vistala? Vistala, okay. Vistala came, and she gave us the Healing Heart Form. And so we have that. There was a dictation on that, and it describes it. The Healing Heart Form is more to help with the psychological problems behind healing. And we've been practicing with it, both of them. And it really does help. Not just the physical healing. Sometimes you just we had to fix my leg, but why did you hurt your knee? Why did you hurt your leg? And so this helps you get through that. And so anyways, I hope you enjoy them, and thank you very much.
So I'm going to give these out? Yes. I'm going to give these out, and if you don't have somewhere else you want to put them, these two, I figured out they fit in the back of my name tag. We just make sure to take your name tag with you. You put them in here, but it fits quite nicely, so and people, I'll give everybody one. I think there's enough if anybody. Yeah, if anybody wants to have extra, I might put them around town. You never know. And there's still handouts from my talk, so if anybody still wants a handout or even extra, feel free to take handout. You good?
Are you giving a presentation? Yes.
Yeah. I like that little table.
Yeah, the handouts from my talk are outside on the table on hand still, so they're,
You want to come
I
up
can't
here?
use them, I can't use them, so you guys, okay. Yeah. Good. You good?
Yeah, I'm going to do most of the talking, but he. Okay. That would make it easier for these. I know you're very good.
I sent you an email.
Yeah, they're right there.
He's
He's got him that way.
Hold on just a second. So you guys have all your props?
Yeah, we got our props. We're ready for show and tell.
We're just going to have a little interlude. I received a beautiful email from a lady in Norway who's watching, and then she sent a card.
Is it that angel?
Yeah, the angel. So I just thought an interlude before these guys start. It's really sweet. So, it's sent to me. It's really for all of us. Oh, you don't have this camera. I'm done for the day.
Are you going to show the card?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So you want me to read the text?
Yeah, the email first.
Okay. They're all in the same browser.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, this is from our beloved sister Eva Ostebo in Norway. And I can't do justice to the musical quality of her voice, so I won't try. When she speaks, it sounds like she's singing. It says, "Wow, thank you, God. Thank you, Saint Germain. Thank you, David. What an amazing dictation from Saint Germain today. I am so thankful and happy for the broadcast and for the Heart Center community. This link will hopefully open my Christmas card made for you," which it does, and this is what we're looking at right now. She made this. It's a Christmas card. Well, she's an art teacher in school, and she's very, very, very creative and artistic. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
She made out of peanut that. But she put all this together. Oh, but you have to scroll through it. There's like lots of images of angels.
Like that?
Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful.
Well done.
There's little lines to read between.
Dear heart friend.
Dear heart
You wanna
friends.
read that? Ready? See, it just says dear heart friend.
You can't see it.
I'm actually, I've got the wrong glasses.
Yeah, I can see it. Dear heart friend.
And then it says,
I wish you a Merry Christmas with lots of angels. This one's called Grace. Joy, peace, and harmony. This is Persian.
Persian angels.
Persian Christmas.
Wow. Persian.
And a prosperous new year. And below the last one is filled with happiness.
Victory.
And this is victory.
Feel victory. Does it feel like this some days?
Only victory.
That's what victory is.
Oh, you passed something up. This is Abraham. And then with victory is abundance, beauty, good health, and service.
Yes.
There's Abraham. With beautiful images, beautiful music and sound. Light. Lovely words. Understanding. And lots of love. Greetings and love from Ava. Yay.
Should I push the little button that says we appreciate?
About 10 times.
Yeah, push that.
About 30 times.
It's on, I just so.
You can start the PowerPoint anytime.
You guys are on, and I have the PowerPoint ready.
Okay, well, the first word, it comes out as earthing.
It's like that.
There it is, earthing. There we go. The first question is, how many people have heard of earthing? Almost everybody.
Is it like ground?
So we're done. So this is a refresher course, because yesterday I saw 3/4 of the people at the beach with shoes on. So you know, we're going to whip you with a wet noodle or something. How dare you go to the beach and keep wearing your shoes. So anyway, next slide. Earthing is simply making contact with the earth in your bare feet, or really any other part of your body, because you're going to feel the currents of the earth into your physical temple, regardless of how you make direct contact. And in this presentation, we're going to discuss health benefits, some of the master's teachings, a little bit of the scientific research and endorsement by various health practitioners, and some practical alternatives. By practical alternatives, alternatives to walking barefoot on the ground. If you're up in Montana, it's a little impractical certain months of the year. No?
I go outside every day, all year.
Oh, barefoot?
Yeah.
You do? That's great. That's great. I guess you can work up to it if you every day. So, well, I have a bag of devices here. Yeah, we'll hand them out in a minute. Okay, next slide.
Flush is particularly grounding.
Okay. Personal story. I need to start with a personal story. This summer, as you know, we had lots of smoke in the air, and I was experiencing a lot of anxiety and having trouble sleeping. And I thought, what's going on? You know, it's never felt like this before. And then I picked up this book that we happen to have. Ray gave it to me about 2 years ago. Oh, you want me to put the book a little closer?
You're good right there.
Earthing. Anyway, Ray gave me this book, and I didn't really read it I did read it, but didn't really apply the principles. And I saw it and was looking at me, and I said, "You read me again." So I did, and I started walking barefoot in the backyard and laying down on the grass. And I instantly felt relief from this whole, anxiety situation, and started feeling better. And so what I did then is I ordered in the book it makes reference to these sheets, these fabric sheets, and they've got little strands of silver in them. And here's a sheet, and we're going to pass it around. Kathleen's going to pass it around. You see, it's got a little grid of silver threads that are embedded in the regular sheet, and then you attach a wire to that, and you attach that wire to a grounding source. And the most available grounding source is the plugs in your house. That little extra third individual little plug, right. So you just plug it in. I went a little overboard, and I drilled a hole through my wall, and I put an 8-foot ground rod outside. And so I had a dedicated circuit. Okay, you can pass it around. You can look at it. And as soon as we put that on our bed, we're sleeping beautifully. I mean, it's just made a profound difference. So that's the personal story, and I think that Ray has something similar.
Well, I ran across this through the DVD on earthing that we're going to tell you that you can get on free and watch on YouTube shortly. It's an hour and 4 minutes long. Comes up later on the PowerPoint. But I shared it with the owner of the store that I manage, and she was having tremendous sleeping issues for decades, and she had such a profound response that she bought 100 of these lap blankets and gave them out to all of the staff of her various businesses and family and friends. That was like about 5 years ago. And I did pass it along to Robert, and I went ahead and we got the sheets for our bed, and you can get fitted sheets for any size of bed and other products, and also a lap blanket that's really cozy on your couch. We have a couple lap blankets on our couches, and it had a tremendous benefit for sleep for us as well.
How much do they cost?
Well, that one was, I think, about $159. We're not selling them, but you can get them through Amazon. You go to the Heart Center front page, and there's a little icon for Amazon, and then you click on that, and then Heart Center gets a portion of 5% of the purchase.
Serious money.
So, you know, $7.50 goes to Heart Center when you go buy that sheet. So anyway, if everybody bought one, you know. Anyway, next slide. I'll talk less from the historical situation. As civilization has developed, we've become increasingly disconnected from our contact with the earth. And the invention of synthetic shoes that insulate us electrically from the earth have become almost universal in the past 50 years. All our shoes are made in China. They all have synthetic soles. And electrically, we're separated from the earth. And it's interesting, it points out all kinds of research in this book backing up the whole idea of earthing. And there's several pages dedicated to discussion of this, where the timing of the development of shoes, the way we have them today, corresponds with an increase in inflammation-related diseases. And they point to the possibility that there's a very strong connection. Next slide. So the solution is this: the way this earthing works is that the earth is full of free electrons. And when we make contact with the earth, the electrons stream into our body and charge us and restore our electrical potential, that it matches the electrical potential or the charge that's the same as the earth. So our vibration becomes similar to the vibration of the earth, and the electrons neutralize the free radicals in our body, and that reduces that reduces inflammation and inflammation-related conditions. Next slide. And it also helps to creates a shielding effect around your body from electromagnetic frequencies, electromagnetic waves, and there's a number of studies in this book that document it and discuss it pretty well. Next slide. And then the Ascended Masters have made some comments over the years, and we mined the website and found several. I'll read them. Beloved Kathumi has given this one. Nature's kindness is yours to enjoy and employ. Now I give you one little secret. When you return to your homes, and even during this retreat, take time to take off your shoes and socks. Walk on the grass and the soil. Feel the Mother Earth beneath your feet. What is she speaking to your soul through your soles? The soles of your feet. Next. Even through your feet, you can discern the truths of Mother Nature's love for you. And for some, this may even really help your physical health, and especially your emotional and mental health. Next slide. There are very important spiritual essences that permeate your feet from Mother Earth through the pores of your skin. These enter into your being, and the essences actually go into your blood and to other liquids and solid systems within your body temple. And one study that's discussed in this book shows the blood through a dark field microscope, where a person did grounding or earthing, and there was a before and after pictures. And before, the blood cells were all kind of clumped together and blotchy, and after 15 minutes or 45 minutes, whatever the time happened to be, the blood was much thinner and there was separate. The individual cells were separated, and the way that works in your body is you'll have better blood flow, and the blood will be carrying the oxygen, and carrying the oxygen and nutrients where it needs to go. So that's pretty dramatic. There's another. I'll tell you another story. This Stephen Sinatra, who wrote a chapter in this book. He's a fairly well-known alternative health doctor. I was visiting my own doctor, and I happened to mention to him. I said, I'm talking about, well, what are all the different things you're doing? And I'm, besides the vitamins and things that he's prescribed to me, and vitamin B12 and what have you. I said, well, I'm doing something with grounding, with earthing. Oh yeah, and he starts telling me about Stephen Sinatra, and he said that Stephen Sinatra had a patient who he could not stabilize her heart rhythm with any of the available drugs. He tried this drug, he tried that drug, and he was a cardiologist. And this was a number of years ago. And then he'd heard about the whole thing about grounding. And he said, well, I'm going to prove it's for real or not. So he took the woman outside and had her put her bare feet on the ground for like half an hour, and it stabilized her heart rhythm.
Wow.
That was told to me by an MD, So anyway, next slide. This is back to Kuthumi. These essences bring your nervous system and bring peace to your actual neurons. They affect your lymphatic system and helps your white blood cells to become stronger and more virile to counteract it all, the little bad guys that somehow enter your blood through the foods that you eat and that you take in through your mouth. Well, that was Kuthumi talking about direct contact with the earth. Next slide. And if you that was for the people from Arizona. If you don't have a tree to hug. Yes. Okay, next slide. Walk gently. Walk gently upon the earth and breathe deeply the air around you. We've heard about breathing today. Especially in areas where there are many plants and trees that radiate out that wonderful oxygenated air and allow your body and your entire being to feel and experience this life energy field. So come to Mount Shasta and to Ashland and breathe the wonderful oxygenated air. It's going to be earlier this year, before the fires start. And the fires aren't going to amount to much.
Might take this year off.
Peace. This will soothe your soul, bring peace to everything in your life, allow you to heal from deep within, and reawaken certain higher spiritual powers. Kuthumi. And then the god and goddess of the Swiss Alps. So when we hike, we touch the earth with our feet. Even with our shoes or hiking boots on, there's a transfer of energy. Next. And this is what makes the god and goddess of the Swiss Alps sing. The interaction of heaven with the earth, the interaction between the nature kingdom and our kingdom of humankind, and the interactions that occur within the angelic kingdom when the angels work with devas to also anchor light in our realm. Next. You want to read this one? I'm doing all the reading.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. There's a thing in the way, see.
Just as grounding ourselves by being close to the earth, walking on the earth, walking in the cities, traveling in all these places allows heaven to be anchored through us, so a part of us in communion with Mother Earth is raising the earth. There is a reason this prayer to the Divine Director says, raise the earth in sacred fire.
Oh yeah, here's a quote by Dr. Stephen Sinatra. Nothing else I know can produce the same magnitude of systemic effects that includes reduced inflammation, improved blood electrodynamics, and a stabilization of the nervous system's influence on the heart. What I did is I picked I picked out of this book some of the quotes, particularly people that you might recognize their name, like Perricone. This inspired and well-researched book explains the perils we face by being disconnected from the power and energy of the earth and its boundless storehouse of free electrons. Could much of the disease, chronic inflammation, poor sleep, and more be the result of this? A brilliant hypothesis, well-grounded in science. Here you can take turns.
People who have lost touch with the earth, from a biblical perspective, people who have lost touch with the earth lose touch with God. Earthing reconnects us to the planet, to others, and, in a sense, to God.
Okay, then there's this movie. When you buy the sheet, what comes in the box is a copy of this book and a CD disc of this movie called Grounded. And Grounded is also available on YouTube, and it's free. And it's about an hour long or something like that.
An hour and 4 minutes. You just Google The Grounded, and you'll find it easily.
And it talks about a town in Alaska that this one man started it because he had some physical problems, and he started grounding himself and saw some dramatic results. And so he told everybody and their brother. And then by some kind of an arrangement, a whole bunch of these grounding sheets were distributed to people in the town, and there was some really amazing dramatic results. People slept better, they were relieved of pain in various conditions, and one man, after being bound to a wheelchair for decades, was eventually able to walk again. Yeah, just by grounding. And it's free. It bypasses FDA approval. Okay, and if you're sitting at a computer desk or some workstation all day long, you can take one of these pads, and one side has conductive material on it, and this little wire. You snap the wire onto the little button here, and I'll just pass this around. Yeah. You can see this.
Where do you get them?
Yeah, get them online.
The company that manufactures them, I believe, is near Palm Springs, Desert Springs, out that way. And they have an online. But try to go to Amazon and connect with them through the Heart Center site and get your 5%.
Grounding sheets, or grounding pads, or grounding blankets, and I think there's more. There's several manufacturers now, aren't there?
There's only one main company, Earthing.com, I believe.
Okay. Are there any more slides? Or is that it?
Yeah, it's the race slide.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Now, I was going to just kind of review this whole thing about grounding. We're intended to be barefoot or at least grounded electrically to the earth 24/7. That's the way we've evolved on the planet. And just recent history with the development of plastics and various technology and building codes, our houses and their wood frames and whatever, we're going barefoot on our carpet. We're not grounded just because we're barefoot. You've got to have your feet connected with the earth. So one way to correct that is through products that by physically, like Robert plugging a metal stake rod into the earth outside and having a cord coming in, you can plug into your just electrical outlet the grounding plug part of it, and find the various products so that you can have something at your feet, at your workstation, at a computer, or for your hands to rest on, lap blanket, sheets, even patches, so you could put them on a particular part of the body where you might have an injury, inflammation. But what they're basically finding, the book goes really into the technology of this the most. and explaining the science. When we're not connected with the earth electrically and having that flow of electrons moving up into our body, and they've done tests to show, like when you go to the ocean, it takes about 30 minutes for that flooding of electrons to come and to start to saturate, say, like your solar plexus area. And it takes a certain amount of time. Because of the lack of grounding, our bodies are in a chronic inflammation response. And we're beginning to find that just about every condition, health issue, has a relationship with inflammation. And we understand that everything in our body is electrical. And it only makes sense that being grounded is important. And even when you go into high-rise buildings and go higher off of the surface, as you go up, you become exponentially out of balance in your electrical charge. So people who work in high-rise buildings and not close to the earth, there's another detriment to electrically how our body functions. So it's important to ground and have this technology.
Why don't you mention something about the leather shoes?
Well, leather shoes are fine. There's a certain conductivity through a leather shoe. So if you leather-soled shoes, and probably even the natural fabrics for your socks and otherwear, wool and cotton and that sort of thing, they're going to be conductive. Synthetics, I'm not that specifically researched. They do have grounding shoes that have like little plugs in them, and they're available. They're out there. We're offering this to you guys to research, and it's really powerful, really, to think about the effects of not being grounded, and the chronic inflammation response. I do have 3 of these grounding books, by the way. Every time I buy a product, they give you a free book. So I've got 3 of them. They're usually $19.95. And whoever comes to me first, they're $10 each, and I'm going to contribute them to the bookstore, or maybe Dennis's book fund here for getting Omran's books going. So first 3 people. I did also want to make a couple of comments about the Anthony Williams books. Now, the bookstore that I work at, I've probably sold in the last few years about 600 of Anthony Williams' various books, and every one of those is a little mini lecture and a talk. And I've probably done this 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 times. And it's the same thing with grounding. When I ran into the grounding books, sold 100 in the first year, and that's talking to a lot of people about grounding. When talking to people about health issues, services, and products that I introduce, right at the beginning of the conversation, I share the thought that we don't have health care in our country. I quickly acknowledge the good, caring people that are drawn to serve in health and healing professions. Then I point out that health care in our modern culture has been hijacked by for-profit corporate interests that thrive off of treating symptoms of a disease, not correcting or healing conditions. This is not health care. This is for-profit business. We need to become really wise about that. Concurrently, much of our population, if not most, has been programmed to not question modern lifestyle, diet. They give away their sense of personal power and responsibility for their health. The system encourages people to go to the doctor, to receive another label and diagnosis and medication to suppress a symptom. Mainstream healthcare rarely addresses underlying issues that need attention. It's really interesting when I talk to people about Anthony Williams' liver and thyroid books in the bookstore. It's amazing how many people immediately begin to talk to their friends or who they're with, like, oh, I've got this thyroid problem. Oh, I've got this diagnosis or that. Then they share that with their friend. What's more interesting and even disturbing is how many of those people are just so attached to that label and identity that it's set in stone. They're threatened even at the idea in conversation that they might have a role somehow in creating that circumstance and a role in healing or correcting it. Of course, as a group, we're a more enlightened group. We're awake, or we're waking up. We're much better equipped to engage in lifelong learning, the disciplines and practices that support our health. We know that as in Ho'oponopono, personal responsibility requires stepping out of any victim mode and embracing the lessons and disciplines from Spirit that come wrapped in our life challenges. Unless there's something else for Robert to add, we're hoping that the grounding presentation and the Anthony Williams information has been useful and inspire your deeper investigation. I believe they offer many solutions to our life circumstances, health challenges, especially as we age. Was there a question?
You just wash. How do you wash and take care of those sheets?
That's a really.
Can I just interrupt? I'm going to start the soul raisings on time, and it starts in 1 minute. So I just want, because I just already got scheduled.
Okay,
Cool.
we're done.
We're done.
All right.
In a second.
We start? Okay, I'd just like to say thank you, everyone, for being here. We're now taking our intermission for dinner. Please come back because we'll be singing. It'll be very fun and with some yummy snacks provided also. So thank you again, everyone. And we will not be broadcasting tonight. So those of you on the broadcast, thank you so much for joining us and being with us. Long distance, we feel your love. Thank you and good night. Thank you, Boyd.